Hello everyone, welcome to NetSlow Productions. I'm Oliver, and today in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how to remove the unwanted lightsaber sounds or clacks and replace them with some awesome lightsaber sound effects. So essentially we're going to be turning this into this. So let's get into it. Alright, the first thing we want to do is go over here to the new item tab and create a new sequence. And this is where we're going to put our footage. So I already have the piece of footage that we're using for this in my project file here. And this is actually from our lightsaber short film, Statera. So if you guys want to check that out, the link will be probably up in the top right corner with the little exclamation mark or down in the description below. So now that we have our footage in the timeline, we're actually going to zoom in here and we're going to cut out one single frame of sound, not the video. We just want to cut out a frame of sound. And this is actually what we're going to use to block the lightsaber clacks that you see here. We're actually just going to copy this and paste it over any existing clacks. We might need to do it 2 times. It will get rid of some of the audio from their voices, but that's okay. We're just focusing on removing the clacks themselves. If you have something like ADR, you can use that to paste over this stuff, but we don't have any currently. So just going to do that for pretty much every single one of these and go along and see how it sounds. You can see it's been pretty much completely removed, which is exactly what we want. So we'll just go through and do that for all of these. And even the small ones right here, we want to make sure to get, because these can be pretty pesky as well. When they lock, the hilts actually kind of jingle because of their stuff inside of them. So we want to make sure that we get rid of that. Alright, so now once we're done with that, we can move on to just doing a little bit of sound correction. So we can come over here to the audio track mixer. And if this tab isn't open, you open and close it with the little drop down tab here. And we're going to go into noise reduction and say denoise. We're only going to want like a little bit of denoising because there's only a little bit of denoise. There's only a little bit of noise in the background. So let's just play that. It's maybe a little bit too much. We do want to still be able to capture things like the outside ambience a little bit. There is going to be stuff like music and, you know, lightsaber sounds, of course, eventually. But right now we just want to kind of remove some of the extra little stuff. And that seems pretty good. Now we're going to add the lightsaber clashes and swings and lockups and all of that stuff. So I have already a bunch of sounds, and the link will be in the description if you guys want to download this as well. But I have a few different sounds that you can see here. If you want to, you can pretty much copy this exactly. I can't give you this specific piece of footage, but you could use the same sounds I have, except for a few. I've actually made some custom sounds with the sounds that are already in the pack. I've just used Adobe Audition to combine them together. So I made a custom hum. That's a little bit loud, but I also made a couple lockups that are pretty extended, as you can see there. So yeah, if you guys wanted to do that, you could as well. So we're just going to use a few of these and go along and add them to where there are clashes and swings and different stuff like that. So let's say we'll do this hit, very loud hit sound effect, and drag it down here. We'll probably make a few more of these just so that we can layer them effectively. Then we'll go to where the clash happens, which is about right there. And then we'll go to where the peak of this hit sound effect is. If you can't see the peak and this name is in the way, you can just go over here to settings and say show audio names, and it'll turn that off for you, which is nice. Then we'll go to where the hit happens. We'll drag that over. If you want more like very precise and exact sound, you can even left click on here and say show audio time units. That'll just give you like a super zoomed in view and like accurate sound dragging. You can see I'm just barely moving it along the waves there. So if you wanted it to be more exact, which honestly you don't really need it to be within, you just need it to be within a frame normally. So unless it's completely necessary, then I don't actually recommend doing that. So let's see the first sound here. That's pretty good, but you'll notice it's way too loud. So we can go over to the essential sound panel over here, and we could say do stuff like add a audio type to it, the SFX audio type to it, and we could say turn down the volume like even -15 if we wanted. That's pretty low. And you can see it's a lot quieter. But what we're actually going to do is leave this at normal levels. And then if you see here in the final comp, there's actually another sequence, and that is right here. It's the lightsaber sounds. It's actually all of the sounds put together in a single sequence, and that way we could manipulate the level of the entire sequence instead of just manipulating individual lightsaber sounds. You do or will probably need to go in, and you see I turn this down a little bit for some of them, or pretty much most of them. Yeah, this one's like down -25 because it's so loud. So you can individually tune it in there, but yeah, for right now, we're just going to lay out all the sounds and then make it into the sequence. So we'll just add some different hit sounds effect. Oh, that just disappeared. We'll add some different hit sound effects to each of where the clashes are, even if they overlap. That's okay. Although it will probably get pretty loud. And if the sounds kind of blend too much together, you could cut this off if you wanted. That sounds a little bit better. Or you could add something like an exponential fade just to the very end. That's really long, but you could just do it to, say, the last for, oh, cut the entire thing. Well, just select this and then, yeah, make it just one frame. And that gives it a little bit more fall off instead of just like a harsh cut off. It gives it a nice smooth fall off. And so where some of the swings are as well, we're going to add some different swings. Let's see here. I have this fast saber swing, which is just a really quick little swing there. Probably trim that down and go where it's closest to the camera, and that's where I put the middle. And that's pretty good. We will have to, of course, adjust the sound later because it's definitely very off, but yeah, we'll just do this for the rest of the footage. And yeah, also right where the clashes are. Oh wow, that's very long. The lockups, I mean, not the clashes. But where the lockups are, we can add some different lockups. This is a custom one that I made using Adobe Audition, like I mentioned earlier. And then we'll just end that where that ends. And we'll just add another exponential fade, just for posterity sake. And then probably another saber swing. Yeah, and we'll just do this until the whole thing has lightsaber sounds to it. Okay, now that we're pretty much done with the lightsaber swings and clashes and lockups and stuff, this is how it sounds. Which I would say is pretty good. know, it doesn't have to be perfect. There is definitely an art to adding lightsaber sounds with the visuals on the screen, but you don't have to do it exact. So I'd say that's pretty good. All right, and now I'm going to add this custom lightsaber hum, which is, of course, way too loud. But I'm going to add it underneath everything, just as kind of a lazy way to add lightsaber hum in the background, because, you know, you could add something like a different lightsaber hum that lasts a few seconds and then just copy it and paste it a bunch of times. But then it would kind of sound repetitive in the background, and this just sounds a little bit better. So I will turn this down right now. Just hit SFX, and maybe it's something like -20. That may even be a little bit too loud, so maybe -25. Yeah, that's pretty good. And now we can actually go in and edit these individually. So the fast saber here, I would say that's okay. You do want to pay attention to the audio volume over here, just making sure it's not clipping, because that is a concern. We should probably also turn down this amount a little bit, probably something like -3, just the regular clip here, to kind of make room for the lightsaber sounds. So go into here, maybe turn this down by something like -7, and that's much better. Do the same to this. You can try editing like multiple clips at once, just like hold shift and click both of them, click SFX and hit -7 if you want to make them the same volume. I do believe that changes both of them. Yes, it does. So that's good. This probably needs to be turned down to something like maybe -5. Swings are generally lower volume. So. Yeah, this definitely needs to be turned down as well. So yeah, it's just going through and kind of normalizing the different volumes. And that can be a little louder because it kind of seems like it's going pretty close to the camera. Normally, the closer something is to the camera, generally the louder you want the sound to be, unless you're working in some specific use cases. I just feel like that makes the sound. Makes it feel like the object is actually making that sound, especially if you have it lined up properly. This one is a little bit not lined up. So maybe. Yeah, that's better. All right, now that we're done with the sound, we can just make a new sequence out of this and then add it back into our timeline. So we'll just make a new sequence. It can be really any general sequence, I believe. We'll just call this lightsaber sounds, something like that. Lightsaber SFX. And then we can go back to our final comp. We can just copy this and then paste it here. It'll be kind of small, so we'll zoom in. And you can see we have all of our stuff right there. And then we can safely just delete this. We should probably save as well. Autosave is a good thing to have when you're working on projects like this. And then what we can do is take the lightsaber sounds, drag it in there, and delete the video, and it should be perfectly lined up with all of our footage. So that's perfect. All right, so now that we're pretty much done with the sound, there's a few more things to talk about. This is the first part in a couple of parts tutorial series that I'm doing for NetSlow Productions. So we're going to go on to doing lightsabers in After Effects with the Saver plugin for After Effects. So I wanted to talk about a few things, specifically color grading and the Adobe Dynamic Blink. So first, with the color grading, the reason that you might not want to color grade in Premiere Pro, we can just switch over to color real quick, do some basic correction, is that in post with the lightsabers, when we're going to be rotoscoping and doing all the color for the lightsabers, what you could do instead is just in After Effects do the lumetri color, because After Effects has lumetri color, and that way the lightsabers will actually match the color grading of your footage and pretty much everything else. And if you wanted to throw any other effects or add anything else, it would also be color corrected. So that's a reason that you might not want to do it in Premiere Pro itself. And then the I use Adobe Dynamic Link to connect the Premiere footage to the After Effects project. So say I was working in After Effects and actually doing the lightsabers and the rotoscoping on that, and I noticed for some reason that one of the sounds was off. Well, if I had rendered it in Premiere beforehand and then just put the footage into After Effects, I wouldn't be able to edit that sound if I really wanted to without re-rendering this entire thing. So what I do is go into After Effects and create an Adobe Dynamic Link, which basically links the Premiere project and the After Effects project, so that when you change something in here, it will change for the footage in After Effects. There is some warning to this, though. I have had it be weird on me a couple of times where it'll just refuse to do stuff. One thing I've found is you can't actually add something like Adobe stock, like essential graphics templates into there and then use the Adobe Dynamic Link in After Effects without it refusing basically to show you any video at all. So that's something to watch out for. You should probably render some of these beforehand anyway, since they're pretty processor heavy. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, congratulations. Hopefully you've been able to turn something from raw footage into something with some nice lightsaber sounds and the removal of the clacks and everything like that. Obviously, for something like a full production film, you would want to probably add some other audio effects or ADR or stuff like that when you're, editing your footage. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the lightsaber sounds. So in the next tutorial, we're going to talk about rotoscoping the lightsabers using masks in Adobe After Effects. So, I've been Oliver, this has been NetSoul Productions, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.